We are recording.
Johnny, you need those tickets. Looks like somebody. Go home and reach with it. I would say that.
Ready?
I did.
We have to put the flag.
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody ready? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you. So, I'm really glad to, oops, I'm sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. Yes, I'm glad that we have Nick Cook here today, going to do some things for us, and it's always a good thing, and fast thing, you gotta pay attention.
Hey Doug, speak up. We can't hear you back here.
Okay. All right. Yeah. But anyway, he's gonna do boxes today. You know, the big boxes like this that you put stuff in your attic with. He's doing them.
Cardboard boxes.
Huh?
Cardboard boxes.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay. Or maybe they're slightly different from that. Yeah. Okay. But you get 3 of them. He's gonna see him do 3. So be awake. All right. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you, Doug.
Is your mic on?
I'm about to turn it on.
Hey Doug, one thing before we start.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
I think we have 30 pieces.
15
Oh, 15 pieces of wood.
Oh, yeah.
For the raffle, and clearly there's some nice wood back there. Understand there's some everything from ebony to
Halfway through,
walnut,
Okay.
we stop and do
maple.
Okay. You just give me a signal.
If you're interested, get the raffle tickets.
Did you include the stuff that I brought from Jeff's?
I have no idea.
There's boxes and other stuff out there. There's a box of wood and other stuff that's out there that part of it. That's all.
If it was out there, it's taken care of. I don't know what it's in today or next week, but I took care of it all. If you already have it out there.
Well, I put mine on top of the other stuff that's already out.
Okay.
So that's, I just unloaded back there.
That's fine. It's taken care of.
There's some nice wood there, so take advantage of it.
Take advantage of it. Go out and get some wood.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't grow on trees anymore. You got to get it where you can. So, well, good afternoon. Thanks for having me. I'm a production woodturner. I'm in Marietta, Georgia, just a little north of Atlanta. And I've been in the same shop for 35 years. I am not a bow turner per se. I turn a bow every once in a while, but primarily do furniture parts for other people, balusters, newel posts, whatever anybody needs. We have lots of furniture makers in Atlanta, and most of them don't turn. So they call me up. Like I said, I've been in the same shop forever. And we've got 2 woodcraft stores, 2 rockler stores, and Highland Woodworking, and Beach State Lumber. Anybody mentions wood turning, they give them my card. So
It works.
it
I'll
does.
tell you, it works.
And
Yeah.
we have several hundred wood turners in the Atlanta area. We have about 6 clubs in the metro area, and many of the members belong to multiple clubs. I hardly ever get to go to any of the club meetings unless I'm demoing. But all of them turn pens or bowls. Nobody turns what I do. So that's why I get so much work and why I do what I do. But and for the past 28 years, I've been a consultant for Powermatic, the 4224 lathe that we brought out 10 or 12 years ago, whenever it was. They did everything I asked them to do, and I got serial number 1, and mine's 10 feet long, and I've told everybody I'm no longer doing 10-foot stuff because I can't lift it and get it on the lathe anymore. So I'm backing off a lot of that big stuff. I like things that fit between centers and the length of the tool less. So I'm going to do a couple of boxes and maybe a few other things depending on how much time we have. The first box is a loose fitting lidded box, and I've been doing these for a long, long time. And loose fitted lids are a lot easier to do than tight fitting lids and get them to stay the same all the time. So, and with a loose fitting lid, you want it to lift right off. You don't want it to pick up the box and then have the box drop off. So this is one I did out of cherry probably 8 or 10 years ago. It's been rattling around in my bag for that long. So we're going to start with a piece of maple. I get these dowels from Big Monk Lumber Company out of Kentucky, and hopefully he's bringing me some more of them real soon. They're rejects from a tent stake factory somewhere up in his area, and he usually brings a lot of them to the symposium, and they sell out rapidly. He also cuts some of the bad places out and leaves small pieces, so I use a lot of those. So. Look, this label is, that's amazing. Yeah, I've been places where they did. So I've got it between centers. I'm going to use a spindle roughing gouge to chew it up. The Dan tool to put a tenon on each end. I'll be doing this as one of my rotations at St. Paul. Pound it. And we're going to cut it in half. And if you're doing deep parting cuts, it's best to stair step them so it doesn't close up on your tool and burn it. And never cut right through when you got it between centers. It can hurt you. So I get it down to about a quarter inch. I'm close. I'm within the. I can't see that. Found it. It's always in a different place. Everybody's machine.
That's okay. Nobody can ever find it. Nobody can ever find it.
I'm using a Big Mark chuck. They're my favorites. And you can't have too many chucks. I don't like to change jaws, so I think I have 30 now. Hey, this is what I do for a living.
You have a tenon on the other side.
I do. I have a tenon on both ends, and I cut it in half, and both tenons are on the opposite ends, and that way when I put it back together, the grain will line up. So, one screw and everything. This is amazing. You start out with a 3/8 inch spindle guide to throw up the end of it. And then you get a rough shape on the outside. And you can shape it any way you want to. If I have time to do another one, I'll do a different shape. As you're doing the lower portion of it on boxes and goblets and other things of that nature, leave at least half of the overall diameter. Otherwise, when you start hollowing, you're probably going to get a lot of chatter, and it's going to bounce around on you and beat you to death. Never move your tool wrestling machine. What?
Everyone does it.
I wouldn't do that. So we're going to use the spindle gouge to initially hollow it. And with the flute straight up and down and flat, I'm going to go in about 1/8 of an inch, and I'm going to rotate the tool over to about 45 degrees and just push the handle away from it. And we'll go in just a little over 1/8 of an inch. And that's going to leave a little shoulder there. And we go down a little deeper and leave the base to the lid fit on. And take a skew and square up that recess so that the lines are basically parallel. And I chamfer the sides inward. And for a long time, I was doing my hollowing with a spindle gouge. And John Lucas, I'm sure everybody knows John. He stops in occasionally. His parents live in the metro Atlanta area. And I was working on some boxes, and I was hollowing with this, and he said, "Why don't you use the badger?" I said, "What? I said, "I don't know what the badger is." "What is a badger?" He said, "Call Mike Hunter." So I called Mike Hunter. And Mike happened to have one on his desk. He asked me what I was making, and I told him, and he said, "Well, this is perfect for that." I'll pass it around a little bit. It's a carbide tool, but instead of being flat on top like the Easy Wood tools and some of the others, it's dished out. And there's a bevel for it to ride on, and it clears the shavings very well. You do need a hole for it to go into. And the biggest secret to this is not to push on it. If you push on it, it'll carry it right through the bottom of it. So I go in, and then there's a tilt at about 8 o'clock. It just peels the shavings out. And it leaves it incredibly nice and surface. CAW this year. So I want to show you something new. And this is the same shaft, but a much smaller cutter. So I'll pass this one around and you can take a look at it.
What's that one called?
That's the number 1, and this is the number 5.
That's a carbide tip.
It is carbide. But I mean, it cuts incredibly well. So I've gone to the bottom of that hole, and actually I'm going to go to the half-inch screw guy. I go through a lot of tools. This has about an inch of flute depth, but this is my drill. And there's 2 lines on here from 2 different projects that I do. So I know when I'm to the right depth. This floor is extremely slippery. And you can actually hollow this as well. It just does not do the finish that the Badger did. And I'm not going to worry about raw thickness since this is a demo.
What thickness are you going for? What thickness are you going for?
Oh, like I said, I'm not going to worry too much about the wall thickness. Usually I go for around an 1/8 inch or something like that, so it's a little bit more durable. Yeah, everybody wants to see how thin they can make things. I don't like that. I want to be able to hold it. Yes, sir.
Not anyone asked at what speed are you turning?
3,200 and something.
What?
3,200.
Yes.
As fast as
Okay.
it'll go.
What?
That's close.
That's because it won't go any faster, exactly. Yeah. So I very carefully measured the depth of it. Close enough. And the sharper the tool and the faster it's going, the cleaner the surface is going to be. But at the same time, when it's going really fast and it's really sharp, if you make a mistake, it could be catastrophic. So keep that in mind. Took a little getting used to get it clean cut across the bottom. And it's not there yet. Roll up the right here. A little bit more round to work with here. I'm not gonna spend a whole lot of time on that since you can't see what I'm doing, so. I'm gonna add a little bead to the bottom of this one. Can't have it. I don't lose a lot of tools. And I don't know if any of you remember Willard Baxter. Willard was a dear friend of ours, and in addition to being everything else, he was a Baptist preacher, and he married Kathy and I 30-something years ago. And my mother-in-law, he said, "No, wait, he's Baptist and we're Methodist. Will this be legal?" So, and he always said, when somebody asked him about marrying us, he said it was the best thing he ever did for Kathy, or for me, and the worst thing he ever did for Kathy. So, but one of his favorite things to say was, "Woodturners are honest." He said, "They won't steal from you. They'll lie to you, but they won't steal from you." And I miss Willard every day.
How many years was that ago?
He died in, he married us in '93.
Oh.
He died in '02 or '04 or something like that. And in '96, he took over as the resident woodturner at John C. Campbell.
Yeah.
And as soon as he got home, he called me and said, "I've just taken over, and you're going to be my first instructor." I said, "Good, you're going to be my first assistant." And once he took over, he kept begging to have the woodworking studio enlarged so that we could have wood turning and woodworking every week. So we had to swap off and alternate weeks. So when he died, he'd been asking the director about that for years. And I went to the director and I said, Willard always wanted to make this place bigger so that we could, have wood turning and woodworking every week. He said, "I know, but we can't do that." I said, "No, I got a better idea. Since Willard has passed away, we're going to make the Willard Baxter wood turning studio." He said, "You can't do that." I said, "Watch me." So every week that we had wood turning, I would go up, it was a 2-hour drive, and I'd tell everybody if they'd donate, we'd have a wood turning studio. And we opened that, I think, in '08. So, and we just got brand new Powermatic glaze in November. So, it's a great place. I'll be there in 2 weeks teaching. And then again in October. So I'm going to clean up the end of that. And I'm going to fit the lid. I measured it, and I'm going to add a good 1/16 or so. We'll taper it just slightly, and that's probably too big, but you can always make it smaller. It's really hard to make it any bigger. where patients take place. I'm actually going to get it to fit snugly and then do the bottom with it held in place. And you have to be careful because if you get it too tight, it breaks. You know how I know that? I'm just a little too loose. Oh, we're going to fix that. And yes, I have gotten it stuck on there and couldn't get it off. In case you're wondering. That's not true.
Are you going for a snug fit?
I am, so I can do the bottom of it. And then I'm going to turn it down some more so it's loosely. So now it sits flat. This should loosen it up just enough. It still just sticks just a tiny bit. Undercut it slightly. And Cindy Drozder would put a little jewel over there. I'm just going to do a little text. This is the decorating elf from Henry Taylor. It basically carves into it.
What speed did you have to?
I went down to about 1,000 or so. They tell you 750 is the appropriate speed. I don't listen to those people. A little bit more of that. I'm going to do a little bit of an OG shape. a little bead here. I'm not big on little tiny little pinwheels. I want something I can grasp and hold on to. Switch to a This is a 1/4 inch bowl gouge and it has more of a spindle gouge line on it. They use it for things like this, and for detailing the bottoms of bowls and for my spinning pads.
That was a skew.
Yes, that's an old-fashioned standard skew with square corners, which I don't usually use. So this will just lift off, and I've chamfered the edge so that the lid fits down inside of it, and I've made this little nick here. And it just lifts on off. Can you catch? Oh, you can reach. Any questions? Yes, sir.
When you was using that
Badger?
Badger,
Yes, sir.
and you were finishing up the sides and stuff, did you tilt that any or just
Yeah,
straight in?
The whole time I was tilting it about 8 o'clock.
Okay,
So if you put it straight in, it's going to draw it right in.
so I sucked
Yeah.
it in.
Yes, it will.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
What's the angle on your gouges?
34 1/4. I have no idea. They're what work for me.
Oh, okay.
And you know, everybody asks that, and it doesn't make any difference as long as it works for you. And these people that tell you it has to be this or that or the other, and I change them occasionally when I want to get in tighter, and it just depends. I've got one that's a little more rounded on the end. I don't use it for details. I can use it for mass removal. So it just depends on what you want. So, and we've had people that have come to teach at Campbell and other places that have collected everybody's tool and put their grind on it. And that's just wrong. And if I'm teaching bowl turning, I have a bowl gouge with my grind on it that works for me. And if somebody wants to use it and tell me they want theirs around like that, I'll be happy to grind it for them. But I'm not changing anybody's until they've used mine and said, this is what I want. So, does that answer that question? So this next box that I made I've got some parts already prepared. A gentleman came to me and he had a copy of the article I wrote, I don't know how many years ago, on using the Baxter Threadmaster to make acorn boxes. And he said, I want you to make a couple of hundred of these. I said, I'm sorry, you can't afford it. He looked at me and said, what do you mean I can't afford it? He could afford it. I said, I mean, I'm not making hundreds of them threaded. I'll make them where they pop, but we're not making them threaded. Oh, well, that'll be fine. So I've been making these anywhere from 50 to 100 at a time. I'm up to the last order I delivered made over 1,600 I've delivered so far, and I got an order for 100 of them due in August. And they're to a company in Birmingham that's a construction company, and they're laser engraved with an oak tree, a tiny little acorn, and it says cultivate, and that's the company motto. They have about 4,000 employees currently. And they built the Atlanta Stadium where the Braves play. They're building that tall 400 and some odd foot tower right next door to the Braves Stadium. And that's the test facility for the Swedish Elevator Company for their U.S. headquarters. So I make these, and I start with the bottoms. I start with a piece like this, and I turn it down just like I did the maple previously, and put a tenon on each end and cut them in half. And I get two pieces like this, which are the bottoms. I do the same thing with the top. The top is walnut, and walnut has become very expensive. Walnut and white oak are in the $13 to $15 a board foot range now, which is ridiculous. But anyway, so this one's already been drilled, and I drill the lids because they're uniform, and they're all relatively the same, although some of the bits don't cut as well as others do. And I just did a class in Knoxville, and everybody made an acorn box, and everybody made one of the salt shakers. So
check your body packet. Your mic went off.
My mic went off?
Yeah.
Oh no. It says it's on.
Oh.
Testing 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yep.
The light came on again.
Yep.
It was on. It just didn't show up. So
Need a battery.
anyway, okay. So I make them. I start out by doing all the lids, and I make all the lids before I even start on the bodies or the bases. And that way, I have these finished, and I can fit them to the bottom of the box. And I want them to fit nicely like that. So my finish is Minwax Wipe On Poly. I put about 3 coats on them. They're finished inside and out, and they've been well received. So
That's your usual size.
they're all
Same.
pretty much the same.
Same.
I mean, they're handmade, so there may be a little bit difference. Yes, they're all pretty much the same. So I got ahead by prepping some pieces. But by drilling them, it's not only a uniform size, but the sides are parallel. And that makes a big difference.
Let me have you. Look, the body pack. Just unplug it.
Minor technical problems. And I do measure the tenons so that I don't have to keep opening and closing the chuck to a different size every time. Normally, if I'm just doing one-offs or whatever, I don't do that. I just eyeball it.
Here you go.
Testing. No, it still doesn't work. Is it a bad battery?
No, it's
It's
you're
got a
good.
green light now. That's a good thing. All right. So using my very short spindle gouge, and by having it shorter, it doesn't vibrate. If you take a brand new tool and start boring holes with it, it's probably going to chatter a little bit. So right down the center, and I've got a line on here. I'll switch to the Badger. And I have one of the lights that goes on the magnetically onto the tool rest, which is awfully handy for something like this. Wood turning wonders makes it until it can be close to this. And if you're making boxes, the longer you can keep the tenon and the socket, the better off you are. The shorter you make it, the tighter it has to fit, and you don't get much in the way of opportunities to change it. So keeping it just a little bit longer helps. And I keep them about a half inch or thereabouts, 3/8 and a half. Before John told me about the Badger, I was doing this with a spindle gouge, and then I would come back with the either the Woodpecker or the Easy Wood carbide and just do a sheer scrape across it and get a cleaner surface, but this does a much better job. And I have calipers that are permanently set and almost welded in place. They're CA glued in place, and they're marked for what they are for. There are 6 sets of vernier scales that I use for these, and I don't have to worry about changing everything each time I use them. I do the outside straight. And all acorns don't look the same. They're like all pine cones don't look the same. They're like snowflakes. They're all different. And a few years ago, I did a lot of work for Auburn University. They had the gentleman from Alabama poisoning the tumor cornered trees. And I got involved in that, and initially made a gavel for a gentleman who donated $40 million to the engineering school. And then I made another 60 gavels for all the department heads. I made the mace for graduation, and I have a little old man in Marietta who I call upon when I need carving, and they wanted acorns in the leaves of a water oak carved into the mace. So I googled water oak. And I came up with probably 40 different leaves and acorns. And I called the people at Auburn and I said, I need a definitive answer. I can't just guess at this. The head of the agriculture department sent me more information than I ever needed. And identified what leaf and what acorn I to use. And I gave that to the gentleman who's 92 years old and still carves crucifixes that are larger than life size. He does everything with chisels and a mallet. And I was doing some work with Sapele one day, and I turned him a really nice carving mallet. And he really liked it. So the next time he came, I said, how's that working for you? He said, oh, it's too pretty to use. So you can see there's several steps. Unfortunately, I have several lathes set up, so I don't have to keep changing things. I just go to the next lathe. That's true.
You know, that's a good idea to get a lathe for each one. That speed it up. Yeah.
It does speed things up. Last year I was doing.
So you gotta buy more lathes.
No, thank you.
I
Two
did,
is enough.
I did 400 pins. I don't do pins. I do pins under duress, and somebody insists upon it. And, I had 6 lathes going, and I would just make a circle around the shop and do a step, and then do the next step. And it was a lot of work. But so that's the lid. So I would sand and finish this as I'm going.
That was my question. Would you
Oh yeah.
finish it with it still on the lathe?
Yes, and the finish is the men wax white foam powder, which has gotten completely out of sight price-wise. It used to be $8.99. It was available at Walmart. Now you can only get it at Lowe's or here or Rockler, and it's like $22 for a pint of it. But I have found that you can go on Amazon and get a quart of it for $24. So
What, say it again, what it is?
it's men wax white foam powder. And if you're using if you're using that and you want a satin finish, do multiple coats of the gloss and then do the satin last. If you do multiple coats of the satin, it gets cloudy because of all the solids that make it satin. So, and a lot of people don't realize that. I learned that from one of the finishing people that I deal with. So, but yes, these would be completely finished at this point.
So, can we take a break here?
Sure.
Okay.
All right. What,
Yeah.
hour and a half? Is it nap time for you?
We'll try it again. Did I fall asleep? Again?
Well, just checking.
No. Okay.
All right. Yep. Take a break.
All right. Take a break. Beverly. By yourself.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
You didn't get a hold of
Okay.
No, Don's out of town.
Huh?
Don's out of town.
Oh,
So I tried.
okay.
Tell you a funny story about Big Wax White on
Good.
when they first introduced it back
You
in
guys
the 90s, which were woodworking.
make sure you start. Hey,
When they first introduced it, they were giving out quart samples.
Right.
magazine.
Oh, okay.
So every time I went around,
I had some people
3M had what they thought was a compliment. And if you read the, all the literature on that, it was very hazardous for your health. You had to take the rags and all to a hazardous
really?
dump site. Yeah, they find it
Yeah. I don't know. I think I ended up with about 5 or 6 quarts. That's a good one.
And General Finishes has something about it.
Yeah.
And it works pretty good. It's nice with it. That sort of thing. The first box I did was hard.
Okay, one of these
I don't.
goes to HDMI.
This is HDMI, mini HDMI.
Yes,
It's a mini HDMI.
This is-
Yeah, that's the power.
To get a crisscross.
Oh, the texture.
Okay, that was what was throwing me is what?
Actually,
How did you find?
this device is actually controlling that one over there. This one goes straight into here. This one is a more expensive camera than that one.
Yeah.
So this one has all the features, but then you got to buy the remote for it.
Yeah.
There are several different ways.
This one, now, and we've got, this is actually the close camera over here, and there's a smaller one here. And it actually has to use this to be able to convert it to come into HDMI because it's all USB-C.
Okay, that's my question. So they are now making converters for USB to HDMI. Obviously.
Yeah, this is a,
This has a directional cutting.
You have to buy that from OSB.
I did, yes. See, this is what it is.
Okay.
And see, this one is, one of these is power, one of these is control.
Right.
And then the other end is HDMI out.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. And then the USB-A here is to plug in a remote like this because it's controlled. So you have to have a remote for that one, you have to have control for this one, this one. Technically, that one would control both of them, but I've got no way to plug both of them in here.
That's the other reason.
Unless I go through a USB-C
Yeah.
hub like this one is. This is an Osbox USB hub. That's why I said I've gone through I'm trying to figure out how to make this stuff work.
Well, see, that's been my problem is in trying to get small cameras, not that to run necessarily to run through an ATM, but to be able to plug directly into the monitor or to the TV. But I want, and I haven't found a converter for the
That's like
USB to HDMI. You can go HDMI to USB.
Oh, am I doing something?
It's hard to shorten.
Oh, okay.
You know, I've still got it.
Okay. Is there any way, while you're thinking about that, is there any way to put this over his head so you can look down on it? Yeah, they have to have something like that up there. But that was a comment from somebody asked me if we could do that so we can see more what he's doing better.
What we do in Etowah
Something in the future.
for the overhead, and that camera would be
The ideal place to use this cube is the center third.
Yep.
And the center third is
get a boom.
big on this.
We use a mic stand with a boom, and you can get
You
adapters
want me to get a catch too?
for a quarter inch and stick it right over and it points straight down.
But no, it works fine. You got
That can't, except the problem is we're using
very well.
a camcorder.
Thank you.
I would put
So
It's heavy.
the counterbalance is critical. That's the reason I'm interested
Very much.
in this. And so that because that would be absolutely perfect for what we do.
Back in, trying to get it done, and since I don't have a grinder, I use a belt sander.
Right.
This
Okay.
is what's
So
called
I'm
a
very new
Osbox
to this, but this is my first time making a tool.
tail.
I would make a handle a little heavier.
This is the light. That's the took pictures of it.
Very damn. It goes your way.
Well,
Doesn't matter.
That's the tiny Osborne's tiny two webcam 4K.
Hang on to that.
This one is the light. That one's about $180. This one's about $280.
Because I was teaching with
Alabama, Northern Alabama.
See if this will work.
You know what?
Okay.
I'm a photographer.
Yeah, I am
I
too.
said, well, you should. He said, do you have more than one of them? I said, yes, sir.
There's
He pulled it out of the house, put it in the store box. He said, I'm gonna put them in the catalog. And
That's the
I
one.
think it was,
that's this one right here.
Yeah.
I like it, but
The quality of that is such a.
Now, does this come with that, or that's add-on?
This is about $180, something like that.
that's the time.
This was about one. The club bought this about 180 approximately. That one was about 260, 270. This one's $500.
Yeah.
Before tax.
Soybean ground in and
So, but this one's more standalone. This one has HDMI and USB-C. And it's also got, it also can record inside of it. And I've got a card in it, but I'm not recording it right now. Be careful with that; it'll start following you. That's one of the signs. You do that, it'll start tracking you.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, you can. These things will do an amazing amount of stuff.
You don't happen to have the model number of that or anything.
it's just a little tiny bit oversized. So I would need to have it's just and if you taper it just a little bit, and there's a box, I think, or a box.
Excuse me, gentlemen, I gotta get set up here.
And I'll get out of your way. Yeah, because trying to match all this stuff up is a nightmare. Thank you.
You know they made it.
I have a lot of people come to me and say, "We want to do this." I said, "Well, what style?" Well, just a regular. I said, "There is no regular." I just put in somebody 50-something.
It's doing okay before.
What's this one here? Just the blue on the top. It's not a glass. Some of them are square at the bottom. Some of them have a lot of details. Of course, that's why I recommend that same book for pottery.
I'll take your word.
It's
Thanks.
classic. And I mentioned it.
Epoxy can be
Hard.
over 10 minutes before, and you will allow her to give it time.
the Canadian version.
I had this called the slow turn.
I just have to go back.
The local
That stick.
I've seen some hot fries on the side.
Essentially, as a rotisserie
It's a
Kenny was
member.
Kenny was my shop.
Yeah.
You should have visited us.
You know what? I am. You know where I am?
The what blanks you brought?
Was speed and then heat.
Yeah, it's also-
It's much nicer on this
I do it in version N.
Yeah, and it's in the.
on this monitor. It does.
Hey, you're welcome anytime, and
Let's
show you
go.
where I am.
I've got to make it up to your shop.
Okay.
I've got
Thank you.
in Jerry's
As
shop.
long as
That they are no longer living.
3
Ooh,
is
So
red,
I have to get to your shop.
Is
that means
that-
it's what's broadcast.
are you that threatening, young man? I mean, if you are, please stay the hell away from my shop. I'm threatened enough by her.
Yeah, we're there every Saturday morning. So.
And that'll get rid of all the little dust,
No, you-
so, and then a buffer.
I gotta
This one's been floating around for a couple of years, so it's been
far
handled
too busy
a lot.
with
I keep
too
one
many
in
things,
batches.
and I'm not even able to go out to my own shop for this
Well-
happy accident over the
Oh,
weekend.
yeah.
But it's been handled a lot.
I am unfortunately self-taught.
In addition to doing the laser
I've got-
engraving, I have a number of
I've been doing it for
That's
45 years.
and I put the number
I'm
here
45 years, you can
and
imagine
also
something.
all the reds so that they match up, and they can tell you who has each one.
Do you do the label?
No, I have somebody else. That's another thing I don't do. It would be fun to play with.
Well, this way,
On a 3D printer would be fun to play with.
twice that is
You know,
maximum
right
diameter.
before Christmas, I brought my mom here.
I have turned.
She left like $100 worth of books.
Yeah, I
Decided
remember seeing
she
it.
wanted a laser.
The
She's not a woodworker,
reason is I've got
but she wants to.
north.
Well, my guy has been doing my laser work for about 15 years. He retired from Delta Airlines, an IT guy.
Yeah, the biggest thing that I can turn is probably
He's
about that
got
big.
2 lasers. One bigger than the other.
Well,
And one you can run.
come and use my leg.
So much of that stuff is at the hobby level now.
Everybody else,
He's got the Halon.
I've got some big pieces of wood.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, and that's a deep engraving. That's,
Well, thank
that's obviously not professionally done.
And,
you know how to get there, right?
I
Yeah,
not only
I
seen
should-
him all
I should be able to
over
figure that
that
out.
You have an identical memory, right? What is the address?
Somewhere's
and a lot of
Okay.
in the United
See?
States.
6526
6526.
Harrison Pike.
Harrison Pike.
Now, do not forget.
Yeah.
This is the owner of Deep State, and I did that for him for his 30th anniversary of business.
I hear you're to blame for us getting a discount if we mention attorney.
Oh, these little bracelets.
Or to thank, I mean, not to blame, but to thank.
But, yeah, they know me.
Well, it's definitely to blame. It's another way to go out and spend money.
This is what I did for the owner of Deep State.
It's a texturing tool. I made something like
Did
this.
you? I can
It's,
see it.
it's that little thing, there's a magnet in there, I think, and a berry.
Is that the elf?
No, it's Sabine.
Is that the elf?
I do a lot of stuff out of
I
Sabine.
watched my niece make one
And I
on a
also
video a while ago, and I had my hand at it too. I haven't used it yet, but I made it.
and he only charges $25 to
Oh, you made it? You get,
Not this, but I made something.
talking
like
through you.
That's Sabine also.
It's nice to turn her too, isn't it?
It is. It just gets red dust everywhere.
Get those platters level across the surface too, without any grease.
And I make a lot of cake stands, and they have to be perfectly flat. And I sent cake stands, and I sent one to one of the guys at Power Magic. He said, "How do you get it so fat?" I said, "I check it with a straight edge."
Yeah, I used to.
Yeah.
Okay,
I take a
let's
piece
get
with
started.
and run across the corners, and I have perfectly straight cakes.
Right, the overhead camera.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
I don't think he's got it. Yeah, when you did it, we were out there.
Well, it is for some people. I have put it on.
Yes.
Jerry? Well, you gonna say something or you not?
He's gotta get stuff returned and stuff.
Okay, we ready to go through the gallery? Off in number 1 is Charles. Charles, where you at? There he is. Charles had a variety of bowls here.
I've been finishing off probably a healthy box of rings that we had. He had made them all different woods, all different sizes. And I took some existing bowls that I had already cut that were dry, trued them up, and then just glued the rings on top of them. And I was quite pleased with how they came out. That's another one. A piece of Osage orange with a maple and walnut rim on top of it.
And I believe you said that Jerry Bowman donated that walnut to you?
Well, the piece of maple on the top was not big enough, not round enough to go on top of the bowl. And Jerry is always in my shop, and he came one day and he had a Ziploc bag full of all of these, I don't know how many, it must have been 30 wedges, all cut out of walnut, and said, here, if you find a use for these, use them. And they were sitting over there on the bench. I said, I wonder what would happen if I just took those rings and just stuck a wedge in between each one of them, made it bigger and round. And I did, and I liked that effect. So,
one thing we
guess
didn't.
that's a collaboration between Jerry and I. I miss old Jerry, I tell you what. Fine fellow.
For those that didn't know or didn't read their emails, we lost Jerry, what, 3 weeks ago, Charles?
Yeah. 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
That's just another one of the bowls. This one I actually cut the rim. The top rim is the top of the bowl. All I did was just took a parting tool and cut it off about an inch thick, and then put one of the other rings that Charlie Helton had in there, and then glued it together and turned it. Finished it. Piece of ambrosia maple. That's one of the last one I have done. It is a piece of
Wood.
Piece of hackberry. I just lost the word hackberry. Piece of hackberry, and it has a piece of maple on top of it, and then the walnut rim on the top. And I really do like it. That's just another one that has walnut rim on the top of it. That's just a little maple bowl. I was going to put a ring. I had a small ring that I was going to put on this one. Except the more I turned it and drew it up, the smaller that wall thickness is. To the point to where there was no wall thickness to glue anything to. So I just left it just like that, and just had a very thin wall surface. This is just one of my mini bases. I make a lot of bases. This one happens to be one made out of poplar. I have learned, the thing that I have learned about this is if you're going to do that and put a glass liner in it, be sure to make the hole about a quarter of an inch bigger than the piece of glass liner. Because if you don't, over time you'll never get the glass liner out. So that means it's safe for people picking it up. Well, except for people turning it upside down. But the wood will shrink and grab a hold of that, and you won't get it out in one piece. This is one of my best things. It's a memorial vase, I call them, because this one happens to be made out of cedar and has a cross in it. It's inside out turning, and I think they look nice, and I use them for
a memorial gift to typically the widow of woodworkers, woodturners that I have known. People that I worked for Habitat with for a long time, I've made them for them, but they turn out quite nice. That's just happens to be one out of cedar. I've made them out of cedar. I've made them out of a combination of maple and walnut, where they alternate, and I like the cedar the best. That's just one of my vases that I've made. It's a big old one, piece of very, very spalted maple, in that it was one bear to try to hollow, because it did not want to cut at all. It just wanted to chunk out. And so I just gave up on it, drilled it out, and put it on the slow turner on the lathe, and just slapped the polyurethane to it till I built it up to a decent looking surface. These are some of the patterns that I developed over time on how to do the inside out. The one on the top up there is actually a Christmas tree. The one on the right is a heart. The one with the cross is obviously a cross. And the other one is just an extra one that I made so that I could have something available if I want to make a different one. So, but they're interesting to make. I think they're appreciated by a lot of folks. They like the inside out. Those are just pins for trees. Jerry?
That's my base for the challenge. It's made out of cherry with a wipe on poly finish.
Nice. Charles, some pins?
Pen for the groups.
That is a bottle stopper that I made from my first attempt at casting Alumilite. I played with the mica powders and colors and so forth, and that was essentially the overflow from where I made too much stuff and had to dump it into a Dixie cup. So,
how'd you manage to segregate the colors? They don't seem to have bled into each other like it happens
I've
a
been
lot.
watching a lot of YouTube, and apparently one of the major secrets is to let it get hot enough to where it doesn't bleed that much.
So you've got what, 12 minutes work time?
In theory, but if you go by temperature, you should pour it about 105 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay.
That is a pin. I work for a travel company, and those are roughly the colors of the company. And I started a project of my own where I was making pins for the team that I'm on, the network team, and most of the pins have gone out to folks. That one is destined for our vice president. So that is a team pin. Only the people on the team will have them. So that's a get me in good with the team.
It's a driver.
Must be razor promotion time.
That is the first thing that I have turned from my first pour. It is can you zoom in on it?
No.
Okay.
I'm certain I can, but I don't know how.
Okay. It is essentially, I used one of the 2x2x6 molds that I got here a few months ago, and I used far too much black mica powder, so it looks very, very, very dark. I just turned it round, cut off or got it into the shape that I wanted, and did some embellishment with a Wagner power, or texturing tool, and a point tool to make the lines in it. Cut it off, polished it, and then put gilding cream in the top. So that's the copper colored lines and so forth. That's just gilding cream.
Your pens are you pouring that?
No, not yet. That is that's the remainder of the block. This is the first block, just to show the colors and so forth. Like I said, it's far too dark, but it looks decent. So, and that is the second pour that I did. That is chocked full of stabilized pine cones.
What do you plan on making out of that?
I don't know. Maybe bottle stoppers, maybe pens. We'll see.
Okay. It's nice.
I went for Christmas colors with it.
Okay.
Pressure pot?
Yeah.
That's a walnut that I got at a raffle last time or time before.
Usually,
Put a resin in there to fill a big crack.
Yeah.
Use the Trent Bosch system to do the hollowing. And it's got 3 or 4 coats of wipe-on poly, wax wipe-on poly, and then I buffed it with a Beal buffing system.
Is that mica that's giving you the gold glitter?
I'm not sure. Some stuff my son. Powder and they used yellow in there to make it a little bit more gold. You just use the gold, it's not right enough.
Okay, Eric?
So that's another piece of mystery wood. Kenny has graced me with clearing out northwest Georgia of anything and everything that's been cut down in the past 6 months. So I'm just picking up, and I started out with a bigger piece of that, and it just kept on blowing apart on me and bouncing out of the chuck and everything else. And I finally got disgusted, just downsized everything to what you see there. This is my first attempt at copying what Michael is doing with his spinners. I was trying to develop how he would hollow it out so it would pop on and pop off, wouldn't just fall off. So that's my first attempt that actually stuck.
And yeah, you can't really get that in a picture. You can't get the ball and socket.
Yeah. Yeah. Looking at what Michael did with his spinner, again, trying to mimic some of what he's doing there. And this fits more of what Nick's doing because the lid does not pop on and off. It just lifts off nice and easily. And then I had a piece of Cocobolo that was laying around, so I made the handle out of Cocobolo for that one. That was my second attempt at the spinner. That one just fell apart, so it's glued together. It doesn't spin.
Yeah, I did try to move it. Larry?
This is an olive wood bowl, natural edge. I was out in Nevada and picked up some wood there, and I decided it was time to stop watching YouTube videos and start using blades. So I brought in a couple of pieces. And this one I think is Pedot. Just finished with a natural oil. I think that was a walnut oil.
It's nice how you undercut the rim there.
And then this was for the base challenge. I'm not sure. I can't remember which wood this is. It's either sapelli or some sort of lightish mahogany. I'm not sure.
Kenny?
That is a SKU for Michael that I made him. Screwdriver, brass pipe from plumbing, ash handle, and then the very end of it that's sort of cut off by the camera is a bit of walnut and a little bit of maple on the very end of it. My first time ever trying to make a tool completely from scratch.
And don't complain about the cameraman or you'll get nominated next month.
Little vase that I made out of, I want to say it might be cottonwood compared to the tree that it came off of, but I'm not 100% sure. That's just an internal branch that had a weird twist in it, so I thought it would come out nice. It did. It was going to be bigger than it broke. Out of the same wood, a much bigger vase. That one is actually almost a year old. It was one of my first natural edge vases that I ever made. It's actually sold to somebody. One of my first sales.
Oh, good.
And then that one is a much bigger one that I made recently out of apple wood.
Roger.
It's a walnut base, finished with walnut oil.
And do you have a glass insulated test tube in there? Also?
Yes, I bought that off Amazon months ago. I went to use it, couldn't find it. Searched in the shop for about 3 weeks and then eventually found it.
Tim?
That's for my base for the challenge. It's spalted maple, all clear bottom, and it's finished with wipe on poly, but I dilute mine 50% with mineral spirits.
And what do you think that does for you?
I can put it on real thin, and it dries in about 4 to 5 hours. And then I can do the next coat, the next coat. And I don't use, I misspoke, I don't blend the already wipe on poly. And I blend just straight Minwax warm gloss poly with the mineral spirits. Because of what Nick said, I can buy that cheaper and make it than I can buy it already made.
Gene?
That is, I don't think that's mine, is it?
I don't know.
Can't see it.
It was near your card.
Not me.
Anybody else's?
That'd be easier to see on that.
Is that the beach boat?
You get a little
Yeah,
truer
that's beach.
color over there.
Looks different over there. I think, and that's a Bradford pear.
It was nice how you kept all the bark.
Yeah. That's a cherry bowl.
What do you use for the texture?
That's a texturing tool, and then liming wax. It's a piece of walnut that I didn't want to throw away.
Robert?
Those aren't my pins.
They aren't, huh?
I'll claim them though.
Okay, they were near your name tag. So.
That's a ambrosia maple and waterlocks finish.
Yeah, it's bright. Alan?
That's a one of my scrap wood resin, and that happens to be spalted maple, I guess, spalted something that I was given. Ended up being relatively thin, which makes it a little more translucent. So when it sits on a table, sun shines through a window or something, it'll actually light up, kind of.
Nice.
That is a resin and pine cone pepper mill, finished with Parfix, what is it, 3480 that Leslie demonstrated a couple of months ago when she did her resin in rural.
The picture doesn't do it justice. That pine cone really pops out of there.
Careful talking about the photographer.
Huh?
I'm like, terrible talking about the photographer.
I think it might have something to do with the
And
lighting.
that's a spalted, not spalted, curly maple segmented base, dyed with fiber reactive dye, and then pierced in the rim burn to kind of make it look a little bit like natural edge.
How long did it take you to make it?
I don't know, because I don't keep track of my time. I work on it for a while, and the segmenting
you do off and on while you're waiting on the glue to dry and so forth. But it probably took me, if I had to guess, probably about 10 hours. Everything from the design to finished product with all, you know, finishing it and so forth.
Well, that's it. So whose pens were they?
Belong to the troops now.
Yeah.
I selected them, so I don't know who they were.
Well, somebody might get a gift certificate for pens they didn't produce. Okay, for the $20 gift certificate, we're going to start with the Instant Gallery. So, President, you want to choose?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, that's it? Not many in here.
The Instant Gallery, we've got number 5. That would be Eric. You pass this back to Eric.
They're gift cards, they're not gift certificates. So you know.
For the donation,
Is there one in there? Oh,
just this one.
Just one. Okay.
Number 1, Charles. I'll take it back to him. Maybe.
Here, hand it to me and I can hand it back.
No, that's okay. I got it. I'll take care of it.
Charles won't forget.
This is for the challenge, all the bases. Number 6. That'd be Kenny. Congratulations. And it's all up to you, John.
Okay, it's up to the raffle now. Better get your raffle tickets out. First one, number 1, 601. 601.
That's mine.
Okay. Number 2, 598.
598?
Yeah, 598.
That's mine.
Okay, number 3, 585. That's me. Okay. Number 4, 579.
That's me.
Okay.
Was that
Oh.
That was number 4. Number 5, 569. 569.
That's me.
Okay. The bring back box is 610. Bring back box is 610. That's me. Okay. You want to look at the bring back box? I'll hand it to you and you can show everybody. I think that's Doug made it, right, Doug?
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
Thank you.
Okay. Number 6, 572. 572.
That's me again.
Okay. Number 7, 611. 611. Okay. Number 8, 591. 591.
Here.
Okay. Front. Number 9, 578.
Mine now pass.
You're gonna pass? Yeah. Okay. That was number 9. I'm gonna pull another one here. 596.
There.
Okay, that's number 9. Number 10, 588. Okay. Number 11, 577.
That's mine again. I'll pass.
You gonna pass? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Number 603. For 11. 603. Okay, 603. Okay. Number 12, 587. Okay. Number 13, 604. Okay. Number 14, 570.
That's mine again, I'll pass.
Okay. I'll pull another one. Number 14 is 592. 592.
Here?
Okay? That's number 14. Number 15, 580.
That's me.
Okay? That's all I got.
Okay. One short thing that I wanted to mention, I thought of it the other day, is when we're doing the things, when they tell you this month we're going to make this, if you don't want to do that, you can go back to the
previous image.
Huh?
Previous
Yes,
image.
yes, the last one. You can make what they made if you, or you want to do that one. Yeah, you can go back and still put in another one, you know, for the other stuff. So, okay, so remember that you don't have to do what they say there on the thing if you see something else you like. All right. Ready?
I'm waiting on you to tell me. Do
Yes.
something.
Well, go ahead.
I'm awaiting orders. Do that a lot. So, all right. So we've got the base in the chuck, and I took a cut with the new little skew that he had. So we're going to clean up the end of it. That should make it clean enough to go. And then I've set the calipers to about less than a 1/16 of an inch oversized. Tapering it just a tiny little bit. Not quite there yet. And something I was going to mention earlier and I forgot to. In April, the first weekend of April this year, we did the first ever seminar at the new Powermatic Training Center. And it was...
Where's that?
It's in Laverne, Tennessee, just up the road from here.
Oh.
Not far from their warehouse, right off of I-24, just south of Nashville.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it's something they've been talking about for a year or two now, and they finally got around to doing it. And it was myself, Keith Lackner with the resin inlay stuff, and Alex Snodgrass with the three-dimensional cutting boards. And we had 30 people. Each of us had 10 for a day, and then they moved on and did the other 10. So we did the boxes and the salt shaker and a few other things. Alex did the cutting boards, and Keith did the resin. And we're going to do that again in October. I think it's the third week in October, the 17th, 18th, and 19th. So be on the lookout for that. It's very reasonable. It's, I think, just over $500 for 3 days, and that includes all the materials and lunch all 3 days and dinner one night. So it's pretty good deal. So, but we're going to do it again in October. So, all right. So this is real close. It's a little too tight. That's going to be a little too loose. It's still too tight.
So when you're making a batch of these, do you take this walnut top and put it on that? Do you then take the next walnut top for the next one, or do you use the same walnut top?
No, I take each individual top and put it on the bottom.
Okay.
And what I do is I have a set of calipers that's set oversized.
Okay.
and it's marked oversized lid. And I fit that one to that. I get it done, and I fitted it while it was still solid on the inside. Do not hollow it out and then fit it. It will never fit. So while it's still solid on the inside, I'm gonna take just a little bit off the trailing edge of this. And then I will drill this about 1 inch deep with a 1 3/4 inch bit. I'm just gonna hollow this by hand, but oh, see, I made that too loose now. But this has no finish on it, neither does that, so it's neither here nor there. Anyway, I'll do that, and I'll hollow out, or drill it out, and then I put it aside, give the lid on it. And then I go back and hollow it the rest of the way with the tool, and then start finishing it. So, and this is the same tool I used for the drill bit earlier, and I'm going to the second mark this time. To the bottom of that hole, the rest of the drill. That was a little aggressive. Getting that little lump out of the bottom to you know what tool is using. Check the grip. And go a little bit deeper. There's my line. And I like to leave a little curvature in the bottom. And if you want to do this just with a spindle gouge, when you turn the spindle gouge over on its about 45 degrees, that becomes a negative rake scraper. And it will make a nice cut up the side like this. So once I have that done, check that bit, unscrew it. I move the lid to stand just a little bit proud of the top of the box. That way, if it's stuck, you can get it off. Yep. And then my depth. Again, I have calipers, so I don't have to check it and mark it. And originally, I started making them, they wanted them pointed at the bottom. And they were buying these little plastic egg cups from Craft Supply to put them in. And they complained that they kept falling off. So I said, you know, I can make the bottoms flat so that you don't have to have those little silly plastic. So that's what we started doing. So, and then I have another set of calipers with the diameter of the bottom. It's about that size. If I'm making these individually for somebody, I make them bulbous here, but my laser engraver wants the sides straight up and down. It makes the laser engraving a lot better. So, I'm just amazed at the clarity that you can get out of the laser, even on the finest details. One pass with this skew. And there was a little place right there where I went against the grain. Same place again. And I would sand and finish the inside and most of the outside. And then I'm going to make a jam chuck to do the bottom of it. Normally I have it laid set up with the small jaws rather than making a jam chuck for each one of them. Oh, it's not good for the tool. Fortunately, it was the side of the door, not the end of it. Now watch, I won't be able to get it off. I hate it when that happens. Close enough. Then I do a final sanding with the bottom and the outside of it, and put the final coat of finish on it, and then once I have the 3 or 4 coats of finish on it, I rub it out with dry wax and 4/0 steel wool and then I come back and buff it with the real buffing system with just the carnauba wax. So it doesn't pop as well as it should. Can you catch? Sort of. All right, I'm going to do the needle box now.
So which laser engraver do you use?
I have a gentleman who does it for me. That's another toy I don't need. I mean, it would be fun to play with, but I don't need it in my shop. And that's like somebody just did some 3D printing for me. That would be fun to play with, but I don't need it in my shop. And the guy that did the 3D printing for me, he's done a lot of accessories for turners, and he's actually a dentist. And he has the one for doing the teeth, but he's got two others that he just plays with, and his nurses have to come and get him. Say, you have an appointment coming in right now. So
what you're saying is your crown might be plastic by mistake.
And he's talking about getting a new that will take how many different? I think 4 different colors at the same time and interlock them. He's working on a vacuum chuck now that's glass-filled nylon with a separate type of filament that's spongy for the seal. So we'll see if it works. But he's a really nice guy. I met him out in Tulsa. And the guy I stayed with said, "This guy's got some stuff you might like to have." And then he called him. He brought me a whole bag full of things that he's made. And he's made basically spoon chucks to go in your chucks that are plastic so that you can hold a ladle or a spoon and you have to watch the handle coming around. It's kind of neat. And for my coffee scoops, that would be fine. All right, so we're going to make the
Are you using regular Big Mark dovetail chuck, but not a dovetail trinity?
Yeah. If you'll look at those, and I mean, it's just a slight, and you know, they sell dovetail tools here. If you take the Bedan tool and rock it just a little bit, it creates a dovetail. Okay. So we're going to do a needle box now. And we all have little bits and pieces of wood laying around. And I'm going to leave both of these, or all the stuff with you that I'm making. I'm going to do, I can do a cherry lid with a walnut top, or I can do a walnut lid with a cherry bottom. We'll just pick one and do it.
Cherry lid.
So we're going to do the lid first. I don't need to do that. I'll just put it in.
Nick, I've been using that dry wood a decent amount now. You gotta get used to it.
What?
I
You
think.
used to dry wood?
Dry wood, yeah.
Is there any other kind? As far as I'm concerned, there's
Well,
nothing
that dry wood, really dry wood.
Well, I mean,
yeah.
everything.
You gotta turn it up. Yeah.
90% of what I get comes from Tri-State Lumber Company, and you know, it's pretty dry. Although I have had some problems with sapele. I did 16 quarters sapele. I had to make 8-inch spheres, which is a task in its own. So I glued up the sapele. I made the spheres, and they were for an international golf trophy.
Oh.
About 3 weeks later, they came back and the joint was open.
Oh.
It was not dry. So, but I mean, 16 quarters hard to dry anything. So this is all drill bit. This is going to be the lid. I'm going to use a 7/16, or I'm sorry, a 5/8 inch bit. Oh, I have to have the goat shop first. The people I stayed with in Tulsa, he's a woodturner and she is a quilter. I've stayed with them several times. And she's a big quilter. She's got one of the long arm quilting machines that goes diagonally across one room and fills it up. And I took her one of my needle boxes. And she asked her, why haven't you ever made me one of these? I said, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get you in trouble. This is wobbly. Didn't do that. Do your centers line up on this machine? It doesn't take much wood to make these. And I have tons of stuff like this laying around, so that's why I started doing these and other small items. Bless you. Bigger than 5/8. Love it. Sound it. I'm using the live center so it doesn't flop around on me. it's a little too tight. That's gonna be too loose. This live center has no center point in it. This is a 7/16 inch bit. And drilling usually around 350 RPMs to 450. When I teach the pepper mill, there's always somebody that wants to run it 3,000 RPMs and drill it, and that doesn't work very well. How simple is that? Something doesn't line up here. Do we have time to do the salt shaker?
What?
Do we have time to do the salt shaker?
Yeah, it's not too long. It's about this.
About 4 hours.
Yeah, 3 hours. That's all right. Just before the sun goes down.
Put the chairs away when you're done.
Thanks. So the salt shaker, I initially saw it years ago. My friend Keith Gottschall did it at one of our symposiums in Georgia. And a friend of mine and I were watching it. And he looked at me and said, "You should do those to go with your peppermints." And I said, "It took him an hour and a half to do that. I can't do that." So I had a little bit of free time and I started playing with it a year or so later. And I started doing it completely with drill bits. And I can get them done a little faster than that now.
How fast is that?
We'll find out.
You're about to find out exactly. So we're going to take this piece of cherry.
I have one at home, but I couldn't make it. Now I can when you're done.
Why not? Weren't you paying attention?
No, it was so long ago.
Oh, so
yeah.
long ago.
To make a new one, yes, to make a new one.
Okay.
Now I'm going to see how to do it.
But it makes a great conversation piece on the table.
Yeah.
You just say, I just rocked it over. It's a perfect dovetail. 14 degrees every time. Somehow I don't think he believes me.
Where do they sell those 14-degree bidons?
Yeah, it's a special order.
Powermatic?
Yeah, precisely. And this is going to be the blank for the interior part of the.
Oh, is this one of those that it's like invisible?
Well, it comes out the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know that.
I'll show you. I just happen to have one here. And the nice thing about this is it doesn't take any mechanical parts. And you can make it any size or any shape. The bad thing about it is it only holds about 1 inch of salt. And I had a student at Campbell, he and his wife were there, and we'd made these, and he came up afterwards and he said, "See the salt?"
Yeah.
And said, "Do you have extras?" That's the one I told you about.
I didn't tell you I could catch.
Do you have extras? And I said, "Sure, I've got a few extras. How many do you want?" He said, 60. I said, "Excuse me?" He said, "Yeah, I need 60. I said, "Why would you need 60 of them?" He said, "I have a roadhouse in Alaska and I want to put them on all the tables." I said, "Well, that's not a very good idea." He said, "Why not?" I said, "Well, first of all, people are going to steal them.
Yeah.
Second of all, you're going to have to fill them up every 5 minutes because people are going to play them." So we went away without making 60 of them. 14 degrees once again. Exactly.
Like it has big marked dovetails about 14 degrees.
They're all exactly 14 degrees. I have no idea what they are.
They're about 7, 8 degrees.
I don't know. I just threw out numbers.
Big Mark says they're 13. I don't know if that's accurate.
Like 68
For the
all statistics are made.
VM120.
I thought they were only like 8 or 9 degrees at most.
I don't know. What difference does it make? It works. I do know that out of all the 30-something trucks I have 2 Novas, and the old Novas, and they open and close in the opposite direction. And just, I get them out occasionally when I leave one particular size job, and they're just a pain. Oh, it is a 14.
It is 14?
14 internal and 10 degree external.
I was just guessing. That goes to show you I have calibrated eyes.
But wait.
Oh, but wait.
That's for the VM120. The 90 and 100 is 7 or 8.
Okay. Whatever. So we threw up the bottom of it. And then we're going to go in with a 1 5/8 inch drill bit. A 1/4 to 5/16 of an inch deep. And I quit making these Colt maxi cut bits, which I like. I wish I'd have bought more of them. They cut cleaner than any of the bits I've found. I did just pick up some of the fish wave bits. And they seem to work fine. Then we're going to go in 2 1/2 or 3 inches with a 1 3/8 inch bit. Yeah, it was rubbing on the way back out. So something doesn't line up. Then we're going to take a spindle gouge. We're going to put a little dimple in the top. He keeps putting all those tools in my way. And all I'm going to do with a 1/2 inch spindle gouge is push the tip of the tool into the point that was created by the pilot here, and then push the handle away from me, and that's going to create a little dimple. There it is. And it ends up being about an 1/8 to a 1/4 inch deep and about a 1/2 inch in diameter. Yep, that's going to work. That deep, so we're going to make the top of it about here. And for this one, I'm just going to do sort of an hourglass shape. Okay. I do hourglasses, bullets, eggs, mushrooms. Remember, you have an 1 3/8 hole here. And the interior, you turn down a little chatter wheel. That's 1 5/8. I'm going to make it just a tiny bit larger. And this eventually gets glued in. What a nice fit. Too tight. And then we want this to be, the next step to be just under 1 3/8. Otherwise it catches on the lip, but you don't have a lip. bottom and then drill it. I make the funnel about a ½ inch deep and anywhere around 3/4 to a bit larger in diameter. It's an 1/8 inch jobber length bit. You can use regular drill bits, but jobber lengths are longer. You just have to be careful to flex them. Come on, get it. Now it's going to wiggle. A twist bit, you need to take it out and clear the helix. And this, the depth here is 2 3/4 inches. So we're going to make this about 1 7/8 inches.
This looks like you just cut it off. I would think you would just cut it off.
No, it won't do anything if you just cut it off. There's no room for the salt. So we got to make a place for the salt to settle. This is that 1/4 inch bowl valve. Now I'm just going to cut it off. It didn't wander far, it did wander a little bit. There it is, I found it. So like I said, that would be glued in. I went out to Des Moines, Iowa, and stayed with some friends out there, and took her one of these and one of the pepper grinders. And she called me a couple of months later and said, "Your salt shaker ruined my mac and cheese. My little girls love their mac and cheese." So I apologized. I obviously didn't get it glued in well enough, so she went like that. The bottom fell out. So when they came to visit me in Atlanta, I had gone to Sam's and bought 2 of those cases of the individual boxes of mac and cheese for her little girls. So, but this is one of the best conversation pieces you can have on the dinner table. And I always tell people, if you want to mess with people, take a little tiny drill bit and drill little holes in the shape of an S. And this little old lady, she was probably late 80s or early 90s, in a class I was teaching, came up afterwards and said, "Can we do that to mine or drive my family crazy?" Oh, come on, Doug.
Do you just use regular wood glue?
Yeah, I use Type Bond 2 for most everything. If I'm doing severely for outdoor use, I use Type Bond 3. And Type Bond 3, when it gets on your clothes, it stays on your clothes forever. There's a spot of it right there. And I used to glue up rolling pins and bowl blanks for Radiosonic back in the old days. And that was with the DAP resorcinol glue. There was a dry powder you mix with water. You had to use it within about 10 or 15 minutes. And I ruined more pairs of pants and more pairs of shoes with that stuff because it was totally waterproof and it turned purple. So, is that enough?
Yeah.
You want more?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. These are all good projects.
Yes.
That just, I mean, if you just sit down and do them, they make really good gifts. So, yeah, and it doesn't take much wood, but you do need dry wood. Dry wood.
Oh, dry wood.
Dry
Yeah,
wood,
that's what
yeah.
I said. I'm using dry wood.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, thank you. If you have any questions, I'll be here coming up in a few minutes. So.
Hey, we need